Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33, and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Keep on. Never say die. Keep on. Like this. Keep on. Never say die. Keep on. Like this. Never say die. Never say die.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent, with you right here live in Los Angeles in afternoon drive time. I'm in touch until you be in touch. Follow me on all the socials at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and there I am. Fresh for you to follow. Subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. And if you're feeling fancy, tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. There you have that. Also want to remind you that we have this fabulous event coming up on October 25th. October 25th. Make sure you mark your calendar for Saturday, October 25th, for the Left Coast Forum. It is going down at the LA Trade Tech College, located at 400 West Washington Avenue. There are a number of progressive groups that are convening, that are coming together. Folks, including LA Progressive, Community Coalition, the Southwest Voter Rep Project, UTLA, LA Care, St. John's Community Health, Black Pack, as well as the Weingart Foundation, so many to name, are coming together to convene. There are going to be a host of opportunities for folks to tap in to the organizing work that it's afoot. There is a lot that is happening in our community, in our state, in our country, and these challenges aren't going to solve themselves. And so tap in, lock arms with leaders on the front lines, be a part of the solution. We look forward to featuring a number of these leaders from the front lines right here on A More Perfect Union in the coming days and weeks to learn about what they have planned for the Left Coast Forum. But be there or be square. Go to KBLA1580.com to register for free. You ain't got to pay nothing. You can register for free. And I will look forward to seeing you there. All right. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, the Grio is reporting that Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl is making MAGA mad, and Black social media users are loving it. This week, the NFL announced that Bad Bunny will headline the 2026 Super Bowl halftime show, and the reactions, well, they are already flooding social media while conservatives are clutching their pearls over the Puerto Rican superstar taking center stage. Black folks online are making it clear they are here for it. The timing of this announcement is especially significant. It comes as the Trump administration has doubled down on its hardline immigration policies, with ICE ramping up raids across the country. You might remember earlier this year, Bad Bunny, he canceled several U.S. tour dates in protest of those raids, making his Super Bowl performance feel more like a statement than entertainment. This marks the second year in a row the NFL has chosen an artist whose art challenges the political status quo. You might remember K-Dot just last year made waves with an unapologetically politically charged Super Bowl performance, sparking similar outrage among conservatives. If you're going to be mad, stay mad. That's it. If you're going to be mad, stay mad. And they mad. but they'll overcome it, or they won't. This is how mad they are. The Hill is reporting that ICE officers are to attend Super Bowl after Bad Bunny announcement. ICE will attend 2026 Super Bowl, where Bad Bunny set to headline. And the NFL confirmed on Sunday that Bad Bunny, the 3-time Grammy winner, would headline the halftime show. And just that quick, ICE said, we're going to be there. Don't you worry. And so you got that to deal with. In other news, how many fans of Reading Rainbow are there out there? Well, I'm one. You with me? The Grill also reporting that PBS Reading Rainbow, originally hosted by LeVar Burton, returns with a new host and format. After 20 years off the air, Reading Rainbow is soaring back into the spotlight, and this time it's taken flight in the digital age. The beloved PBS classic, which ran from 1983, before I was born, just want to say that, until 2006 with LeVar Burton as its legendary host, will relaunch October 4th as a digital series on Sony's Kidzuko YouTube channel. Buffalo Toronto Public Media, the station behind the original production, announced the new episodes will roll out every Saturday through October 25th, complete with companion vertical videos. I'm here for it. I can't wait to introduce my nephew, LJ, is my youngest nephew. I can't wait to introduce him to Reading Rainbow. I have a feeling he's really going to enjoy it. When we come forward, we'll be joined with Ali Velshi, MSNBC anchor. Ali Velshi is going to be with us to talk about some of the biggest trending headlines and an opportunity for you to tap in and visit with Ali and company in person. We'll tell you all about it when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40 and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests as we effort to build a more perfect union.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and really delighted to welcome a very familiar face from MSNBC. Ali Velshi is joining us. Ali's an award-winning journalist known for hosting the show Velshi in the Velshi Banned Book Club. He's covered major global events, including U.S. elections and the war in Ukraine, and is the author of several books. Welcome to the show, my friend.
It is really great to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to be with you, but this is not such a great day for too many of our fellow Americans. As of 12:01 this morning, the government shut down, and I'm not sure if you had a chance to see this New York Times Siena survey that shows that the president is retaining the support of 9 out of 10 GOP voters, even as the government was racing towards a shutdown today. What do you make of this? What will it take for the majority or any majority of Republicans to hold this president accountable for his impact on our economy and public safety? Why are 9 out of 10 Republicans sticking with this president still?
I think there are two problems. One is that we don't share a reality, right? We're not getting our news and our information from the same places. So the thing that, if you look at the broader New York Times poll, it shows that the president is underwater, meaning he's less favorable on every single issue amongst all voters than he is. His unfavorables exceed his favorables, but he will tell you that he's polling at 57% popularity, which is about 20 points higher than he's actually polling. But how would you know otherwise, right? Because you don't triangulate your news, if you don't know that he's telling you things that are lies. I think the second thing is, look, the whole last 9 months has been tough. This last day since the shutdown is going to be tougher for another 700,000 plus workers. But that speech yesterday Donald Trump gave, to the generals about the enemy within, and the military should be practicing on its enemies in American cities. Like, at what point do we stand up and say, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, whether you're a conservative or a liberal, we live in a liberal Republican democracy, small l, small r democracy. These are illiberal ideas. These are not things that we share. We can argue about healthcare or minimum wage or things like that, but we shouldn't be arguing about whether we have rights as citizens and whether the military should be turned against us and whether it's the responsibility of Congress to actually get things done. So I'm very worried, but I'm hopeful. I'm on a show called A More Perfect Union, and that is still achievable for us.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And I'm talking to Ali Velshi, somebody on the front lines, really raising the bar in a time such as this. Look, you mentioned members of Congress. Yesterday, I had a chance to talk to Representative Sydney Kamlager-Dove. She represents a district in Los Angeles. And I asked her, basically, now what? She mentioned that the Congressional Black Caucus and Democratic Caucus, that they are actually prepared to campaign in neighboring red districts, in Republican districts, to get honest information that voters can trust about what's really going on to Republican constituents. Is that exactly what Democrats should be doing? And have they done anything close to this in the past with success?
Well, we started to see it with these anti-oligarchy tours, right? With Bernie Sanders and AOC. And then we started to see it with the town halls when the Doge cuts came in, where Republicans wouldn't show up to their town hall meetings. So Democrats did. And what you saw was angry people, right? Republicans wrote it off as being activists and Democrats who were being bussed in, but we were covering a lot of these places, in far reaches of rural America where you weren't busting Democrats in. People are really feeling it, right? The economy continues to be the number one thing that people worry about. So at some point you realize you're being lied to. And I think if Democrats go out into these other reaches and say, we're here, come and talk to us, tell us what your concerns are, it will help. Because Republicans are seeming disconnected from the actual concerns of Americans in service of Donald Trump's seemingly endless thirst for autocracy. And I think the problem is autocracy doesn't land with people the way wages do and healthcare does. And that's what Democrats are learning to talk about. That's what this is about. And we can discuss formation of government and personal agency later. Right now, it's about these guys are wrecking your economy. And you need to be at the front lines of that conversation.
One of the things that Representative Kamlager-Dove also shared with me yesterday was specific numbers of impacts, not just in her district in Los Angeles, but across California, sharing with me that there are 22,000 folks in her district that will lose access to health care. Over 200,000 military in California will work without pay. She mentioned that the Small Business Administration will stop processing about $4 billion in loans to California businesses, and 400,000 of the 700,000 constituents that she has are on Medicare or Medicaid. And so these are numbers that really put a face on the folks who will be impacted. But the question is, will these folks be moved to act in at least this coming election? This government shutdown, it threatens to upend Virginia's race for governor. Any guess on whether or not this is the thing that may wake up a silent majority to show up at the polls favoring Democrats?
Well, elections, that's many news cycles away, but in 5 weeks, you just pulled up the fact that there are going to be a few important elections around the country, a few important opportunities for voters to talk about stuff, including in California about redistricting, including in Virginia about the gubernatorial race, which is likely that Abigail Spanberger, the Democrat, will win, but by how much and what will the turnout be? And then we have this mayoral election in New York City, which has become a proxy for Donald Trump versus Zoran Mamdani. So I think there are opportunities for voters to come out and say, I'm here. Don't ignore me. I'm actually here. I'm not going to be lazy about this. I'm going to really take a stand. I think a lot of people vote based on certain things they hear. And again, this is this problem where we're not all hearing the same thing, but this is going to be very real for people. Not only are those numbers that you just articulated, are those real, but we used to talk about government shutdowns in terms of, you can't get a passport renewed and most Americans don't have a passport, or you can't get to the national park and people say, well, it's October, we're past the season. This is the real stuff. It's real working people who will not be getting their wages, who are already in tough times, who are already, we're the only developed country in the world that doesn't have some form of universal health care. And this government is trying to take that away. And Democrats are saying that's the thing we're going to fight about. And I think when that starts to register with people, when they start to lose their health care, they'll say, hold on, this is not where the direction we want to go in as a country.
And speaking of the direction we want to go in as a country, almost a year ago in November, we had a very stark choice between former Vice President Kamala Harris and former President, now turned President, Donald Trump. We all know how that ended. But earlier this week, I had a chance to attend the Los Angeles stop of Vice President Harris's book tour for 107 days. And she was asked the question, how painful is it to watch what the moderator characterized as breathtaking stupidity of the current administration? The vice president responded, it's extraordinarily painful for her. And reminded folks that she spent hours and hours, countless hours in the Oval Office. She's met so many people who dedicated themselves to our health and safety, members of the military who took the oath, particularly the ending of the war on cancer, destroying the Department of Education, and denial of science and facts, all of this stuff, pushing delusion, misinformation, and propaganda. These things are extraordinarily painful for her. Talk to us about how effective the former vice president might be in these weeks before this next election. Yeah, she's on a book tour, but should she be out helping Democrats? Should she be out talking to Democratic voters, independent voters, where she still may have some sway?
Yeah, because if it were just the stupidity, that'd be okay, right? The world can survive stupid government. This is seriously damaging. Right? This might be damaging on the economy because the president is trying to put pressure on the Fed with respect to interest rates. This is definitely going to be damaging for healthcare. How about science? These National Institutes of Health grants, right? The National Institutes of Health are studying the cure for some disease that hopefully you and I don't get in 25 years, or if we do, there'll be a cure for it. Right? This is on the world stage damaging. That speech that Donald Trump gave yesterday about using the streets as practice for the military and the enemy within. What if you maybe didn't vote for Kamala Harris last time? Maybe there's something you didn't like about her. Maybe go back again and say, all right, hold on. This is the difference between experience and thoughtfulness and what we have. So I think just to be able to draw the contrast is useful. Remember, after all the stuff that Liz Cheney went through, she went out and campaigned for Democrats and changed some hearts and voices because she appealed to a different crowd than perhaps some of the Democrats were in Arizona and Michigan and places like that. So I think there's a real role for Kamala Harris right now. I think there's a real role for anybody who's prepared to stand up for democracy and say, this is the lane I've carved out. I think she's carving an interesting lane for herself.
Allie, let's talk about your upcoming MSNBC Live 25 in the event in New York City. What is it exactly, and what can folks expect from MSNBC Live 25 that maybe they don't get enough of watching Belshi?
Well, first of all, everybody's invited. We're doing this on October 11th in New York City, and there's still some tickets available. What they're going to get that's different, and what we need that's different right now, is the interaction, right? We need to know from our viewers, who are, very serious media consumers and very involved and aware of what's going on politically. What is it you need from us? Do you need reassurance? Do you need hope? Someone stopped me in the street the other day and said, "Thank you for giving me hope." And it's like, I don't have that much hope. Give it back to me. But do you need road mapping about what what your role is? This conversation about Kamala Harris, right? Everybody's got their place in fighting for democracy right now. What is your place, and what can we do to help you? So we're looking forward to just hearing from anybody who wants to talk to us. We're also looking forward to a little bit of community, right? Because this time can feel a little lonely. It can feel like it's all coming down on you. There's a lot of pressure. The economy's tough, and democracy seems to be crumbling around us. But we've been through tough times in the past, and together, if we know what our roles and our agency is, we can get through this one too. So that's what we're looking forward to on October 11th. And I really do invite people. We're looking to talk to our listeners and our viewers and our readers.
And so, where can people go to get tickets? And is it just kicking off in New York City? Will people have an opportunity to tap in perhaps in other parts of the country? Are you all going on the road maybe?
That's my hope. That's what we should be doing, right? Because we're in a different world now. Everybody's not on social media anymore, largely because some people have become so dismayed by social media. So we want to know the new ways to communicate with people. And I would very much like that this becomes not just regular, but on the road, maybe in smaller components with smaller groups of people, so we don't ship everybody all at the same time. You can go to msnbclive25.com. You can search for it wherever whatever you're using on your phone, and you can get tickets for it. It's a day-long event, and it is really, it's not designed to be a movie, right, where you go in and watch it. It's designed to be interactive. So we really need to know what our listeners and viewers and what Americans who share a love for democracy want from us right now, and that's the part we're excited about.
Ali, you also host Velshi's Banned Book Club. What book recommendations do you have for us, in these troubling times? What should we be reading? What should be on our shelf?
Well, so it's an amazing thing. I hate the fact that I have a banned book club, but it's amazing to meet with all these authors who are so much more complex than even their book would just tell you about. Obviously, one of our first authors was George M. Johnson. He's probably one of the most banned authors. They're one of the most banned authors in America right now. Margaret Atwood was one of my first, and it's important to read The Handmaid's Tale and 1984 and Brave New World and Fahrenheit 451 again, because they're really, really relevant stories. But the reason I started the Banned Book Club was because of Nicole Hannah-Jones and the 1619 Project, because she gave me a new number to think about, right? I didn't know anything about 1619. I didn't know the idea that was when the first enslaved people came to America's shores. So when she wrote that piece for the New York Times that subsequently became a book and then a movie and now has become a children's book, I was so thankful you gave me another piece of data, because I'm not a squirrel. I'm a human. I can take another piece of data. But the reaction to that idea that you challenged the prevailing narrative about our history was so strong that it really launched a new book banning moment. So I think people have to not just read these books, but make sure you try to go to a library and get them so you can support your library. Look for these authors. In LA and New York and Washington and Boston, you go into a bookstore and there's a banned book section right there. So be an activist by reading. We say reading is resistance.
I love that. Reading is resistance. Be an activist by reading. That's certainly something that we can all do. Ali, in our remaining minutes with you, some people may not know that in addition to your work at MSNBC, you also teach at the Wharton School over at the University of Pennsylvania. I'm curious as to, what sort of courses are you teaching, and how are you helping your students to navigate and develop not just an airtight sort of analysis on some of the environmental factors influencing business today, but how are you working with students to develop an ethical decision-making framework? There's certainly a number of headlines in the news where we see business leaders and titans of industry that seem to be skirting around some of the ethics that used to be, part of the core coursework of business schools across the country.
Yeah, and there's a group called Edelman, it's a public relations firm that for many years now has been putting out what's called a trust barometer, and for years it's indicated that people have more trust in businesses than they do in any other institutional part of America, and that's crumbling. Like, people actually believe, well, maybe my businesses will stand up for me because they want me as a client, or they want me as a customer, or they need me as an employee, and that's starting to crumble too. So ethics is a much more central part of business education than it used to be. I will say this to you: I learn more from students than I teach them these days. They're smarter, and campuses remain, although under great pressure, they remain the last big space where people can disagree and debate and learn and be challenged. And my main encouragement to students, and I've had to step back a bit from the teaching because of my schedule, but my main message to these students is that don't give that up. Don't give it up willingly. Don't give it up at all, right? You want to be in there, meet the people who aren't you, who aren't from your background, who don't share your politics, learn how to debate, learn how to disagree, learn how to convince people of stuff, and certainly do not let the government dictate what you learn at all. So this is a very challenging time, not just for students, but people who go to a place like Wharton, because they go there, they want to get their degree, and they want to get a good job. And I totally get that. That's what life's about. But to be on a university campus for 2 or 4 years, I think today is an amazing opportunity that they shouldn't give up. They should take it and own all of it.
Our thanks to award-winning journalist Ali Velshi. Be sure to check out his show on MSNBC. It's called Velshi. Also tap into the Velshi Band Book Club, and make sure you check out the upcoming MSNBC Live 25 event in New York City. I hope that we see it on the road. What a phenomenal idea. Ali, keep raising the bar.
Thank you, and to you as well. Let's all do it together.
You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening, thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Tammy Eswick with BIN News Now.
At midnight, Donald Trump and Republicans shut the federal government down.
At midnight, the Democrats followed through on their threat to shut down the United States government.
It's the big story. Government shutdown. Democrats and Republicans can't even agree on who shut the government down. How are we going to get them to agree to a deal? Plus, the Supreme Court has agreed to hear arguments in the case against Black Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook. But until the case heads to court, Cook gets to keep her job, according to the Supreme Court. Well, Sean Diddy Combs is expected to address the court during his sentencing hearing Friday. He also requested that he be able to wear street clothes rather than his jail jumpsuit. Prosecutors are pushing for an 11-year sentence. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
In Woodland Hills on the 101, southbound before Topanga Canyon, got a disabled vehicle on the right shoulder. It's stop and go behind it from Lost Hills Road. Griffith Park on the 5 freeway southbound. A broken down car there too. It's got the middle lane blocked with traffic stop and go from Burbank Boulevard. Another broken down car. This one in Orange County, Lake Forest. 5 freeway southbound for Lake Forest.
Demand is so high.
Exhausted with applying for jobs online and never hearing back? With Express Employment Professionals, experts in your community are dedicated to helping you find a job. With more than 870 locations, there's always an office in your area. Start at expresspros.com to find an office near you.
And with the federal government ripping so many people, that impacts the restaurants. That impacts, all of the departments.
Training camp, and he's not expected to be on the court for practice today. LeBron is dealing with nerve irritation in his glutes, the main muscles in the rear end. The Lakers were planning to limit LeBron's activity anyway in training camp and the preseason. LeBron, who turns 41 in December, is coming off a sprained knee from the playoffs and a foot injury. It's unlikely LeBron will play in any of the Lakers' 6 preseason games. The first game is Friday against Phoenix in Palm Springs. Lakers coach J.J. Redick said the plan is to have LeBron ready for the regular season opener October 21st against Golden State. LeBron is entering his NBA record 23rd season. The previous record for NBA longevity was 22 years by Hall of Fame guard Vince Carter. Carter retired in 2020 after playing for 8 teams. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33 and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay, yay! I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me!
National news of consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and right there on your screen is Representative Jasmine Crockett. She's been answering questions from constituents related to the government shutdown, which is one of the biggest news stories of the day, and as it should be one of the biggest stories of the day, being that it impacts all of us in some way, shape, or form. You might remember earlier this hour in my conversation with MSNBC's Ali Velshi, I referenced remarks that Representative Sidney Kamlager-Dove of Los Angeles made during a recent press conference. That was before the shutdown took place. And now that it has taken place, we want to tap into what Representative Jasmine Crockett is sharing. And so without further ado, let's take a listen.
Of other women that serve in Congress is she said, get out of DC. She basically was telling us to touch grass, right? Be with the people. And I must say that when I meet you in person, when I talk to young girls that tell me they're inspired to go to law school because of me, and even those that are like, listen, this is about to be my second career. I just took the LSAT. I want to go to law school. I'm so encouraged because when I signed up to come to Congress, I never imagined a situation where people would listen to me. I'm one of 435, right? Like that's a lot of people. I never imagined that anyone would really know my name outside of the people that I serve in Texas 30. Those are the people that send me here. Those are the people that I answer to. And I never anticipated that. And what you have shown me is something that I've said a lot, but I think now it just feels so much more real, which is that representation matters. I know who I look to for my inspiration, and I don't have a chance to have conversations with some of those people. Some of those people I do have an opportunity to have a talk with. And so, you know, if you saw my speech at the DNC, I talked about my first encounter with the vice president. And I don't know that I don't think in the speech I talked about the part of our encounter where I told her that I partially believe that I was in Congress because of her, because I watched her. And I won't get into all of it, but long story short, y'all keep me sane. And I am so grateful. And I want y'all to hold on. I know that we've got some more No Kings rallies that are coming up. And I'm hoping that you will rally. I'm hoping you will talk to your friends and family that work for the federal government and tell them to hold strong and come up with creative ways to make sure that they can make some good trouble. This is our time as a people to rise up. This is not our time to give in. Ooh, will student financial aid be impacted? I'm going to say yes, to the extent that the Department of Education obviously is another federal agency, and financial aid is administered through them of sorts. So it does have the potential of impacting financial aid in a number of ways. But do I think that somebody's like financial aid package that maybe has already been laid out is going to stop? I don't. Most of y'all should already be in school. Yeah, because we're in October. So y'all should be in school. All the monies should have already been distributed by now for first semester, and then hopefully they'll get their lives together. And we can go ahead and make sure that there's enough personnel that exist at the Department of Education, and they're working to make sure for next semester that you're good to go. But your student loan payments are still. Oh yeah, them payments due, honey. Them payments is due. And for all of y'all who have ever thought about working for the federal government, let me go ahead. I know, don't nobody want to work for us right now, but the best job you can have, and my staff may disagree, but the best job you can have is actually a job on the Hill. So I'm gonna just tell y'all about this little benefit, since we're talking about student loans, because I'm still like feeling a way that I can't get any student loan forgiveness, but I appreciate giving out these coins for everybody else. If you work for a member of Congress, then your member of Congress can actually pay your student loan payments for up to $800 and something a month. 833, because somebody must be getting it. But we can pay up to $833 a month towards your student loan payment. And the time that you spend in the office goes towards public student loan forgiveness. However, y'all know what I'm talking about. And so what that means is, technically, if you get out of school and you go work on the Hill for a member, then, or you can work in their district office, so long as you work for a member. If you go work for a member and you do that for 10 years, you may not have ever made one payment on your student loans if your student loan payments are less than $833 a month, and you do it for 10 years, then even if you have money left, it is all forgiven. It's really a good deal. Just saying. All right, I'm going to do one more because I got to go do CNN. Okay, a lot of us feel powerless. What can we do? Do not feel powerless. I know that it is easy to fall into the slump, but if you do that, they will win. And so I want you to make sure that you focus on, number one, protecting your peace. So protect your peace in whatever way you can, okay? Make sure that you don't feel guilty about saying, I got to protect my peace. At the same time, understand that we all have a level of influence. There's so many people that do not want to listen to politicians, and I completely understand why, but they will listen to you. So make sure that you're talking to your friends, your neighbors, your family members. I was talking to a friend of mine who actually works for the federal government just last night, and we were talking about the shutdown, and he was telling me that he was so surprised at the number of people within his orbit, one of his friends being the CEO of a major corporation, another friend just like a very well-to-do man, and like they said they hadn't voted in years. Said they hadn't voted. And he didn't know because they hadn't had those conversations, and he was just being presumptuous. So I say, number one, don't be presumptuous. Number two, make sure you educate yourself. If you're on here, that is because you wanted to get some education. Number three, make sure you share this education out. As you learn things, make sure you're sharing the truth. Because one of the reasons we lost is because so many people did not know what the truth was. They allowed disinformation to seep into their orbit. And so we got to make sure that we are keeping it clean. Every time you see something and you know that it's a lie, you know it's wrong, such as this shutdown is about illegal people, right? Shut it down immediately. Make sure you shut it down. And last thing that I'll say is that while we are all connected here online, get offline, get into the real world. I mean, yes, I'm glad we could be here, right? But it's time for us to start connecting as people again, because what's happened is it's easy for people to hate people that they don't know because they're just stuck behind a computer. So start rebuilding those relationships with your neighbors. Make sure when you go into an event or whatever, make sure you introduce yourself to somebody next to you and just ask them how they're doing and ask them about how life is going and connect the dots so that they understand that whatever pain they're feeling, there is some political connection, but never start by being like, I'm a Democrat and Trump is terrible, even though it's true. Even though it's true, it's true. But no, it's important that we connect on a more granular level and we start talking to one another. So I thank y'all all for tuning in. I hope this worked on all my platforms, child, because if it didn't, my
listen to and speaking more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580. You were just listening to Representative Jasmine Crockett. Representative Jasmine Crockett, she has a live series that's called Clock It with Crockett. Clock It with Crockett. And so she was streaming across all platforms, answering questions from constituents, answering questions from folks online related to the government shutdown and certainly some of the impacts that folks will have to endure until Democrats and Republicans come to a deal. But also worth noting, our friend and frequent guest, Alan Orr, who is an immigration law attorney and expert, sent me a note on social media earlier today, just sort of reminding us of the potential impacts of this government shutdown related to folks in need of immigration services, and reminding us that if Congress doesn't pass a budget for the government to fund the government, part of the government might stop operating. Well, this is called government shutdown, as we know, and during the shutdown, only certain government employees can keep working. And so, for example, folks in the Department of Homeland Security, most DHS workers are considered essential. So the Department of Homeland Security will remain open. The ICE, a lot of questions swirling around what happens to ICE. Does ICE do they, stop the mass deportations? Do they stop working? Well, according to the American Immigration Lawyers Association, ICE enforcement and removal operations will continue. They ain't gonna stop. They will continue. ICE attorneys will typically focus on the cases of detained individuals. The ICE Student and Exchange Visitor Program Office will remain open. As for the Department of Labor's Office of Foreign Labor Certification, that will stop. They will stop all operations during the government shutdown. And congressional constituent services. Some congressional offices may be closed during a government shutdown. And so be sure to contact that individual office for more information. But a lot of folks closely monitoring the situation, and they, if you have any specific questions, you're encouraged to contact or Immigration Law at 202-587-5738. If you have any questions, again, you can call or Immigration Law at 202-587-5738. That is our friend Alan Orr, who's a More Perfect Union contributor. And we love having here because he is always at the ready to help us separate the fact from the fiction. When we come forward, it's time for the quiet part out loud, and we'd be remiss if we didn't remember the life and legacy of conservationist, of environmentalist, Jane Goodall. She passed away today, and she was a very special person. When I think about the mission of the show, I can't help but think about people like Jane Goodall, making us a better nation, making us just better human beings in her care and concern for chimps and humanity. We remember the life and legacy of Jane Goodall when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
September is World Alzheimer's Month, a time to shine a light on a public health crisis that deeply impacts Black families. 1 in 5 Black adults ages 70 and older is living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD, and the risk is twice as high compared to white adults. But AD isn't just forgetting a name or losing track of time. Signs of early AD could be repeating questions, missing appointments, or struggling with bills and daily tasks. These things aren't a normal part of aging. Here's the good news. Treatments are available that may help if AD is diagnosed early. If you notice changes in memory or daily routines, whether in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatalsearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com to learn more about the signs and symptoms and a potential treatment option. This message is brought to you by AZI.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you. Working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to Streaming a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. It's time for the quiet part out loud. Let me first begin by sharing something that some of you may not know about me. I am the son of an environmental chemist. My dad was a scientist, and there wasn't much about him that came off as a scientist when you met him. Like when you think of your image of a scientist, you may not have thought up an image of my dad, but his astute and focus on science, scientific method, obviously, it has seeped into how I at least approach my work. One of my very first jobs as a kid was being in charge of the recycling in our household. I know this is awfully geeky, but rock with me for a second. I was in charge of recycling in our house. I'm the youngest of 5 boys. So as you can imagine, lots of bottles and cans and things in the house. And so my job, starting at the age of 7, don't call the labor department, was to collect all the cans and bottles, to organize them. And when I felt like I had enough, my dad would take me to the local recycling center, and I got to keep the money. And that was my first job. And part of what that experience taught me is that you can make a little bit of money and you can do right by the environment. And so, I don't think of myself as an environmentalist in, the royal sense, but I do consider myself as environmentally conscious. And that was because of my dad. That was because of my first job. It was partly because of my exposure to people who cared about the environment. And one of those activists that I learned of at a very early age was Jane Goodall. Jane Goodall. And so like so many of you, today we're mourning the passing of Jane Goodall, who was a renowned researcher who documented the behavior and social lives of chimps and later became a leader of the animal conservation movement. Jane Goodall was 91. She died of natural causes while she was in California as a part of a speaking tour for the Jane Goodall Institute. And Jane Goodall, who was born in Great Britain, became famous first for her pioneering work with chimps in Tanzania in the 1960s. She documented how the animals lived, how they interacted, and research that would continue for over several decades. And the thing about Jane Goodall, she used an unorthodox approach to her research of chimps. She immersed herself in their habitat and their lives to experience their complex society as a neighbor rather than a distant observer. Imagine that. Goodall published a study showing that chimps use sticks as tools to fish for termites, which challenged the prevailing ideas that humans were the only species capable of using tools. She also documented the animals' communication abilities and complex social behaviors, and she helped establish that they eat meat and sometimes fight with one another. Jane Goodall, her career progressed, and she saw how habitat destruction and illegal trafficking threatened the survival of chimps, and she made conservation and animal welfare the focus of her work. As the Jane Goodall Institute, which she founded in 1977, put it, Goodall, quote, went into the forest to study the remarkable lives of chimps, and she came out of the forest to save them. Ingrid Newkirk, founder of People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, said in a statement that Goodall helped the organization, quotes, in the confinement of chimps locked in barren, solid metal chambers for experiments. Jane Goodall was just 26 when she visited Tanzania for the first time to study chimps, and she began her career without scientific training after Louis Leakey, a prominent Kenyan British anthropologist, hired her to record her observations of chimps. Goodall would later receive a doctoral degree from the University of Cambridge. In an interview on the podcast Call Her Daddy this year, Jane Goodall told host Alex Cooper that her first expedition was on a shoestring budget funded by a philanthropist. Goodall had 6 months of funding, and the first 4 months were fruitless as the primates were too skittish to allow her to get close enough for observations. But one of the animals finally adjusted to her presence long enough for her to make the breakthrough discovery that chimps create and use tools. What a life. What an extraordinary life. What a life that's a metaphor for how we might live with one another, how we might live with people that are very different from us, radically different from us, people who feel like they're a different species than us. That's what I'm taking from the life and legacy of Jane Goodall. Pass it on. We'll have to leave it there. My thanks to the entire village helps us produce a more perfect union. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, brother Andy, to our show producers, Faraji Muhammad, Art Sears, and Journey Burris, and each and every one of you, all of our leaders, learners, and listeners. We love you. We appreciate you. We curate this show each and every day with you in mind. We see you. And shout out to the folks in our More Perfect group chat on the YouTube, Selena Ricks, Morris Phillips. We see you, and we look forward to having you join us again, same time, same place, right here tomorrow. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. Happy October, everybody.